back to the vault with Wayne Gorman. Thought I'd upload another video, put the concentration camp jumper back on, which I know you all love. And this one I thought I'd dedicate to Ricky Hatton. So, my opinion on his suicide. I believe that's what's happened. I mean, I've only watched a couple of videos, to be honest, that Ricky had uploaded himself, short videos on Facebook, where I'd heard him talking about his battles with depression, his drinking problem that he said that he had. I believe he took some drugs as well, probably Class A's. It's not a favourable outcome when somebody takes their own life, and it's going to affect everyone that knew him. I believe there was a big turnout at the funeral. Again, I haven't looked into who attended, but I did see a post on Facebook about Liam Gallagher going there. I didn't watch the whole video, to be honest with you, but it's now come about that the probable cause of death was through hanging. I did see a short, I think it was on Facebook, where he was training on a punch bag, and there was a little video before that footage where he was talking about he's fought in the ring and had battles, but nothing compared with his battle with mental health, and that I can believe. So I was looking on another phone, you'll have to excuse me, and I think it was the 14th of September that he was found by his manager, I believe. But the details aren't that important. That's not what the video is about, really, with who found him and the date and things like that. These are just ideas of, it was recent. It isn't great, right, by anyone's standards that somebody's felt the need to take their own life. So something I want to clear up beforehand is you're always going to get people having opinions on suicide. And you'll have, on the one side, people that they'll go down the route of it's the act of suicide is either bravery. So they'll say, oh, I couldn't do that. That must take some balls to take your own life. Or you'll get the other party that will go down the route of that it's a cowardice act and it's the easy way out. Most people will gravitate towards either of these, none of which are true. So just to put this into perspective, when somebody is suicidal, they are not thinking clearly. They're in a state of confusion and they're suffering immensely, which means that any act carried out in that state, there is no clear comprehension. So there's an assumption that there's clear comprehension by someone on the outside looking in and making a judgment that that individual must have been either brave or a coward, and neither are true. What they were suffering and they were confused and they didn't understand, and that's the action that they took as a result of that. It's that simple, right? So there's no bravery and there's no cowardice involved in it. So anyone that criticises him and said he was a coward, that's not an appropriate response. That just shows a lack of understanding. And anyone that says, what a great guy, and, I couldn't do that, that must take some balls, the guy was brave, again, it's not accurate. It's not in line with, the reality of what has actually happened. So looking at it now as the man's no longer here, he's taken his own life. Most people would agree that that's a tragedy. Could it have been prevented? And the answer is yes. If there were interventions, if he was willing to speak with somebody that knew what they were talking about, that understood mental health, understood where he was at, and then the solutions can be given and you can work through them together, and this could have been prevented. Like any suicide can be prevented given the right intervention. So that is a guarantee. It's just whether or not the person's willing to participate, and that's not guaranteed. So there's a guarantee that it would never have happened if they were willing to participate and speak to somebody that knows what they're talking about, right? They understand emotionally where that individual's at, and they know exactly what's going to be required to come out of it, so that they're no longer depressed, they're no longer anxious, they're no longer suffering with their self-esteem. So the other thing, people choose careers for a reason. So I've just seen something just before I thought, do you know what, I'm going to upload a video on this, of Ricky Hatton speaking. And it said that it was one of his last videos, and he was giving, advice to somebody about taking up boxing because they were being bullied. And he said, you've done the right thing. I'm assuming this is a young lad in school who's being bullied. Could have been a boy or girl. Like I said, I didn't look into it that much, but I'm assuming it was a young lad. And he's turned around and said, you've done the right thing, not so that you can punch the lights out, but so you can protect yourself, because it gives you confidence. And that made me think, right, okay. So it kind of gives a reason as to why Ricky Hatton may well have got involved in the sport: a lack of confidence. So he used boxing as a way to keep his confidence levels up. So I think that's probably a given from what I've just seen. I don't know too much about the guy, but I know a little bit about psychology, and it fits in with what's happened, because before he took his own life, I did see that he'd lost a few fights in his career, and as a result of those losses, and this is how important it can be to understand the psychology of an individual when they associate themselves with what they do. So if somebody loses the job, their whole world dissolves. It's not the reality, but it's what they've labelled their job as part of them. That's their achievement. That's what they've always wanted to do. That's their goal. That's their identity. And so they form a personality and everything that comes from that based on their career and their achievements. Now, when that is taken away or they lose it, they can end up with an identity crisis, which can leave them feeling very, very empty. And they don't understand how to fill that void, because it's what they've always known, and they've conditioned themselves throughout their career that this is what I need to do in order to feel okay. So if you have to pour in huge amounts of energy into a profession in order to feel like somebody, then you're at risk of an identity crisis when that comes to an end, which is why so many people that become famous end up suffering with their mental health. As soon as the fame goes, as soon as that audience is no longer there, validating them, telling them that they're great, and in fact it can go the opposite way. if they've got an image that they feel the need to uphold, like a world champion boxer or whatever, and then they lose to somebody else, now we've got a problem, because I've lost part of my identity, if not my entire identity as to who I am. And as a result of that, like I say, the identity crisis, and then as a result of that, you end up with all manner of problems, because they feel lost, they feel confused, they don't understand what's going on. All their levels of confidence that they've ever relied on to make themselves feel okay, they've gone. I'm just going to have to move this round here a minute, because this thing here sticking up, it's doing me head in on that angle. Where can I put that to hide it? No, that looks like part of my neck now there. Anyway, you can tell my videos aren't planned, right? So you just have to put up with that and that. So yeah, I've just had a quick look now at an article, I think it was Sky News or something like that. Former world champion boxer Ricky Hatton, cause of death given at inquest. And I clicked on it. And for anyone that doesn't know who Ricky Hatton is, but I'm sure you do, there's a picture of him, if you can see it. Bit of glare. And I don't know why that's trying to load. Who knows? Right, so it's understood he was 46 years of age. I mean, I think I'm 47, so he was a year younger than me. From Stockport, you know, a local lad, British, took his own life, had kids, I believe. He's got a son. You know, it's really, really sad for the family, what they're going to be going through. And because, you know, the man's took his own life, so it's said to be believed he's leaving behind those kids who are going to be grieving, you know. So nothing good's come from it at all, you know. He's succumbed to mental health, ended up taking his own life, and now the rest of his family suffer, to state the obvious. But sometimes the obvious needs stating. So as I've said in previous videos, unfortunately, suicide is a selfish act. What I will say is that the individual is not going to feel like that at the time, because of the overwhelming amounts of suffering that they're experiencing, and because of the state of confusion, and they're not clear in what they're doing, they're not going to see it as selfish. But when you look at the bigger picture leading up to the end result, which is suicide, everything that leads up to it is selfish. It's selfishly motivated, if you like. So I want to be the best at this. I want to be world champion. I want to be the best boxer. I want to be known for this. I want the money, and all these other things that go with it. And I'm not trying to criticize, because we all do this, where we look for identities in careers and things like that. It's just some people are more absorbed in that than others, and become self-absorbed. And as a result of it, these traits are what you would call narcissistic. So being self-absorbed and being selfish is narcissistic traits. It doesn't mean the individual is a narcissist, and I've done a video on that, so you can watch that one. So I'm not calling him a narcissist. What I am saying is that the behaviour that he would have been displaying leading up to his death, if it was through suicide, that's all selfish, you know. And there's no way that you can, you know, sugarcoat it. It is what it is, right? So I've already said that the act of suicide is selfish, even if at the time the individual doesn't have clear comprehension. They've got to that stage through being selfish, and then they've ended their own lives. And there's nothing much more selfish than leaving your kids on this earth and you taking yourself off it, you know, when you think about it. So I liked watching him. I've seen him fight a few times. But like anybody in a profession, if they become self-absorbed and they look for, what people call external validation, you can call it what you want. It's just being appreciated by others to make yourself feel good, you know. Um, yeah, could it have been prevented? Yes, with the right intervention. So I'm almost certain that if I would have spoken to Ricky Hatton and I knew him as a friend and he was willing to engage, he wouldn't have took his own life. And that's why I do what I do. I didn't know him, unfortunately, and he wasn't my friend or an associate, so I didn't get the chance to speak to him. But part of me wishes I had, because I firmly believe that he would still be here now. As long as there was engagement from him, then he would still be alive. I can guarantee my part, in the relationship that I'd have had with the guy, if that was the case, but I can't guarantee that he would have engaged, because some people don't want to. Some people won't. You can't control people, but you can influence them. Now, if someone's suffering enough, they will look for help. In most cases, there'll be signs, coming out of that individual, even if they don't know themselves, that other people that understand could recognize and go, hang on a minute, here's where the intervention comes in. Because you've got to bear in mind that some people aren't that aware of what's going on because they don't understand. So yeah, it's more to do with, could it have been prevented? And I'm not making the video about me giving myself a pat on the back, because I believe that he'd still be here now if I knew him. But it's more awareness that this is going on. It's a real thing. Suicide's happening. People are suffering with their mental health. My services are free. I've got a Facebook channel. I've got a YouTube channel. I'm not after followers, but I'm after engagement. So the followers kind of comes with the engagement. If you don't get followers, how are you going to get engagement? So in that respect, I do want followers, but I don't want them because I want more followers because I want to make money on YouTube, or I want to have adverts on my videos or anything like that. Mine are raw, they're in my house. I do them off the cuff when I have a thought, when I've got time and I feel like investing it. That's when I'll upload a video. If people give me feedback, I'll upload more, because it's going to encourage me. If people don't show an interest in my videos and they just watch them, I don't know how much they've watched of that video, whether they've taken anything from it. I think I've uploaded about 27, and this might be my 28th video to date over the span of about 6 months, I think. And I've had one person make a comment, and that's it, saying that the video that I uploaded on obsessive compulsive disorder helped them. I tried to engage with that individual and I didn't get an answer back. But then I'm not great on social media, so that could be my bad. I've got some work to do when it comes to understanding platforms and how to advertise myself, how to get engagement. And I'm trying different ways to try and get engagement. But, I'm not looking for fame. I'm not looking for money. I'm not looking for any of that. I'm looking to help people. And I think people don't like that. It's almost like, well, a lot of people that are beating themselves up feel like they need to earn something, or they need to do something themselves. I must will come into their psychology, sort this out myself, or I need to suffer more in the way that I need to pay somebody in order to help me, because then at least they're doing something. So if they've earned money or they've obtained it through other routes and they're able to pay for services, then at least they're not getting anything for free. So if someone's beating themselves up, there'll be this behavior that will manifest that will make them feel like they owe, I've got to pay for this, I've got to pay for that, or the NHS Bupa, or this person's offering, coaching services for £10 an hour and all this. Maybe they are. But like I've said on a post in Facebook, it's like, well, when people offer a service, are they trying to help you? Are they trying to help themselves? Or is it both? Now, both ideally, but where you've got an agenda, So if someone has an income stream from something they're doing, that's their agenda, is the money. Are you going to get the best of what they can give? If they're very professional, then there is potential for that to take place. I'm not going to say that nobody should be getting paid for offering their services when it comes to mental health, because it works the other way, that the individual offering the service can become a people pleaser and do nothing for themselves, and there's no balance there either. But at the minute, I'm in a position in my life where I don't want to take money off anybody for anything that I offer, and the main focus of my videos is to save lives. Ricky Hatton has just taken his, so the news says, and if you believe that, and that's what's happened, and it was through hanging, and he's going to have been drinking, possibly taking drugs. I've seen videos of him in pubs as well, having a bit of a laugh and that, and he was a bit of a lad. And God rest his soul. And if I can prevent a suicide, I will. It's as simple as that. So I'm looking for engagement. I'm looking for comments, right? And if you do have any, it doesn't matter how small the contribution is to any of the videos I upload, any question or any take that you've got on what I've done, post it. Don't worry about what I think or what other people think. It's all feedback to go in the mix, and other videos might develop from it, and I might get something out of it myself. Like the video I uploaded before this, I was asked a question, and something good's come of it for me, and that was to do with making space in my own property rather than looking for a bigger property, by getting rid of things rather than accumulating. So we can all learn a lesson from other people's questions. So I'm going to wrap up there. Can suicide be prevented? It's getting a bit late. I'm a little bit tired. What is it, 10 to 11? So I'm slurring a little bit, and I did in the last video, and I made a joke in the caption, but I'm not going to do that now. It is what it is. If you've got any questions about anything with regarding mental health, human behaviour, wants and needs, practicalities in life, relationships, narcotics, alcohol, all this sort of stuff, what people call addiction, just drop me a message. It can be anonymous. You can go onto my Facebook page and you can post there. You can private message me, or you can post on this platform on YouTube. So I'll speak to you all later, and I'll see you next time.